And one day, Marvel just posted on their Instagram, go to our website to find out who the new Spider-Man is. And that's it. I just found out online.
Welcome to the Marvel family. You are America Chavez. And I was just like, wow. And like my voice like cracked. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And it did not like settle into my brain for a couple of days.
Okay, bit of a risk. Let's do it. We like risk. Wound up being, a life-changing 15 years.
Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. My name is Mike E, and for today's video, it's something pretty special, pretty important to me. I wrote a full live-action Spider-Man 2099 movie script. Spider-Man is a huge symbol of many things. Perseverance, responsibility, optimism, kindness, whatever it may be. There's a bunch of great traits that go along with Spider-Man. And if you clicked on this video, I'm sure you and I both looked up to him as some sort of a person to follow, some sort of a role model. Even though he's a fictional character, there's still traits that you can practice in everyday life. Ever since I was a kid, I really liked Spider-Man projects. I think the first Spider-Man movies I watched were the Andrew Garfield ones. I believe I also watched like a little animated show of Spider-Man from time to time. Then eventually I visited the Tobey Maguire ones.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
And as I got older, of course, the Tom Holland and the Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse.
Stop what you're doing and stop Spider-Man!
I've played the Insomniac video games, of course. I've even delved into some comic books, not that physical ones. I've watched like videos about them. So of course you can say that Spider-Man has really stuck with me, and really the movies themselves give me such an unforgettable experience. There's even a little picture of me back when I was in Mexico. I don't know if it's in the frame, but I remember I was sitting on top of a Spider-Man scooter that I had. That was like one of my coolest possessions. I've been doing this for a while, where I would kind of just lay in bed sometimes. It might be nighttime, I don't have anything to do in the morning, next morning, and I would just listen to some music that I like. I particularly like some like 80s, 90s, and then sometimes some of that nostalgic 2010s, early 2000s music. And sometimes on these nights, I just happen to have Spider-Man on my mind. It might have been that I watched the movie beforehand. This is around when I was maybe like 15 years old or 16. Slowly I started like imagining like Spider-Man scenes. First it was just imagining myself as Spider-Man, swinging through, swinging through the city, listening to these songs and all that stuff. And then gradually it increased to like me imagining a battle scene with maybe one of these cool songs, or imagining just a really heartwarming scene with some of these songs. Now eventually I found out about Spider-Man 2099. If you don't know too much about him, Spider-Man 2099 is a Spider-Man variant of a future, of course, the year 2099. He is partly of Mexican descent, as am I. And this was even before I imagined myself like trying to become an actor, but I remember thinking, wouldn't it be cool to be him in live action? Like, for me to be Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099. Fast forward a little bit further, I've decided I do want to pursue acting, and then, of course, like I told you, Spider-Man 2099, probably my dream role. But, of course, you'll know that there's no Spider-Man 2099 movie, or else not even one rumored to be in works or anything like that. So I thought, I'm gonna take matters into my own hands. I want to write my own movie. Now, let me preface this by saying, I don't have the money to buy the Spider-Man 2099 comics. Of course, I'm saving money for, moving to LA and all that stuff, trying to, make it as an actor there. So I don't really have money to be spending on the comics. I'm sure they're a little bit pricey. So what I did was I watched the full Spider-Man 2099, like a 4-hour video or so, and he has a playlist of it by a comic historian. He explains the comics, gives me like the major plot points and all that stuff, and the major events, with a few minor subplots here and there. May he rest in peace. He was an absolute legend, and I really loved his videos. He as a narrator was really cool too. So he actually I think his narrating was a really big part of those Spider-Man 2099 videos. They made it so captivating to me. So then I took the comics as my blueprint, and I started writing a movie, combining my ideas and what I had for the comic, and trying to make a really good movie. Now, of course, this means it's not 100% comic accurate. There's a few things I change here and there, of course, but it's still a lot of things that are derived from the comic. And even though I've been imagining this for a long time, over a year, before I actually sat down and started writing it in around August, I believe, it still took me over 200 days to actually finish the script, because, I didn't want to rush the process. I took my time. If I got to a point where it's like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, I didn't just force anything. I'd sit and contemplate I think, okay, what if this happened? No, that's not the best. Okay, what if this happened? Of course, you know, and I'm sure that's what most writers do, of course, but I'm just saying I tried not to rush any part of the process of writing it. Now, I want to tell you about the movie itself without actually spoiling it, because I don't want to spoil it in case that I can someday hopefully pitch this to Sony or Marvel, whichever company it may be, to actually maybe even greenlight this someday. It's something improbable, but it's not impossible, right? So who knows, you know, so that's why I don't want to spoil it in case I can, you know, actually have it happen someday. I'd want everyone to enjoy it themselves and not know what's going to happen. Let me tell you about the main characters I included in the story. Of course, there's Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099 as the main protagonist. The main antagonist I chose was Venture. Venture's like one of the first villains for Spider-Man 2099, so I thought it'd be perfect for as sort of an origin story. I also included his brother Gabriel, his mother Conchata O'Hara. I also have his AI assistant, like hologram assistant Lila. And then it, of course, has the overarching villain, sort of, if you want to think of it as this, as Miguel's like Norman Osborn. Tyler Stone, and his love interest. He's had a few in the comics, but for this one, I chose Dana D'Angelo. A few other details I want to add to you. I wrote this with the intention of it being rated R, so there is heavy use of language, you know, fight scenes, blood, and all that stuff.
Besides, nobody's getting hurt.
Like I said, with the intention of this being a rated R film, because I felt like I wanted to separate it from other Spider-Man movies. Not to say that the other Spider-Man movies are bad. Of course, I love the Spider-Man movies, but I want this to have a little bit of a different vibe to it, a little bit of a different story to it. For lack of a better term, I believe it was described as being an edgier version of Spider-Man. Like I said, that's a lack of a better term, but that might be one way to describe it. And of course, the futuristic setting and the world building would be very different from the Spider-Man movies originally. If you're wondering how I even got any sort of education for writing movies and all that stuff, first of all, I researched how to properly format a script and all that stuff, how to properly format a screenplay. And then for any writing advice, I went to this guy on YouTube. His name is Brandon McNulty. He explains movie tropes, how to write certain tropes, what to do, like a bunch of things. There's a bunch of things you can find on his YouTube channel. That was major help. And I don't take any college classes for writing. My writing classes in high school and English classes and all that stuff, I was always praised highly by teachers for being able to write like well, you know. But, you know, that's not really making me qualified. Besides that, I just have inspiration from all these other superhero projects that I watched, and of course other movies and TV shows I've watched. You know, The Boys, Invincible, Marvel, DC, whatever it may be. Spawn, I've watched Spawn before. There's a bunch of superhero projects I've watched. And of course, I also learned from non-superhero projects on how to write a film as well. I take all of that and try to combine it to make my writing knowledge. One more thing I used, I remember seeing this this YouTube video of people asking on Reddit, like, what do you hate seeing in movies all the time and all that stuff. So I took that into account, and I also take into account a few other things that people have been, you know, asking for in movies more. Oh, one more thing. A soundtrack. Since music is what helped me imagine this thing, I added some of the songs I would listen to into a proposed soundtrack, licensed soundtrack for the movie. So there's actually, I believe it was 12 or 11, I forget how many exactly are in the proposed soundtrack. If you want, my Instagram highlight called 2099, that has some of the songs in there if you want to give them a listen. But they are a big part of it too. I can explain that in a different video. I need to say more for future videos. Now, what's next for me is to start working to be able to make these connections to pitch it someday, you know? Like I mentioned before, I plan on moving to LA soon. I have my acting classes, and moving to LA, work a job, and keep at it at the gym, keep at it with my content and acting and all that stuff. I'll try my best, you know? If somehow Marvel or Sony is watching this, I guess you probably know how to contact me. I can answer your questions in the comments, of course, without spoiling anything, but, you know. But yeah, Spider-Man 2099, live action. I'm hoping. With that being said, Defending Athletics Mighty 20 gets you 20% off. Have a great day, work hard, be mighty.